Hey guys, wanted to make a little video here, something that I hadn't actually thought of until I watched a video just a few minutes ago from a channel called Full Spectrum Survival. I'll throw a link in the pinned comment to his channel. But he brought out a real good point, something that I hadn't personally thought of before. And it has to do with the cave rescue over there in Thailand that just happened the other day, where they saved that soccer team. And people may wonder, I mean, that was a good thing. I'm glad they were all rescued. So I want to say that first and foremost. But does it seem kind of odd that the media went from just talking about kids in cages and ripped from their parents? You know, we saw videos and heard, audio and everything of these kids being ripped from their parents at the border and taken to who knows where. Well, the media likes to flip the script. And in this case, we heard about these boys being rescued and reunited with their family, loved ones, whatever. So it kind of tugged on everybody's heartstrings of last week we saw all of this, bad stuff or whatever they want to call it, of these kids being torn apart. And now we see the joy of kids being reunited. So the media really likes to play on this, and I've been thinking about it, and they do that in a lot of cases, regardless of, what the topic is. They've done it with gun control. They talk about, some states will say, well, we're going to have these red flag laws, to where you can report your neighbor and we'll take his guns and, no due process, no nothing. We'll just come get them and whatever. And then people are all mad. Oh, no, we can't have that. We don't need any of that stuff. It's no good, We got to have due process. The stuff that is legit, but that's what you hear a lot of. An opposition to that initial story or idea. And then that'll go on for a week or so, and then you'll hear, well, they did take some guns from somebody in that area under their new guidelines, and well, this guy really was crazy, This stopped a big shooting or potential disaster, So everybody's like, oh, well, maybe it is good. They got to flip the script all the time. They play both sides of your emotions. They get you upset because of the initial story, and then they've got the opposite feel-good story. So, and I'm sure there's numerous cases of this, but it almost goes back to, because they hate the pro-gun people anyway, the media does. That's obvious. So, they'll do all this stuff, get everybody all upset about, we need to ban guns, we need to ban everything, get rid of this, get rid of these so-called assault weapons and all that. And everybody's all up in arms, no, we need to keep our stuff, Second Amendment, the stuff I've talked about numerous times. And then what happens? They have some kind of a shooting, or maybe not every case is a shooting, maybe they stop somebody before it happens. But either way, it puts that firearm, that object, into a bad light. All the people that were saying, yeah, we need to keep it, it's our rights, keep our guns and all that. Well, every time they flip the script on one of them stories, they chip away a little more, and they think, oh, well, maybe we do need to have some tighter regulations on some of this stuff, Maybe now is the time. There's a lot of crazy people out there, so maybe we just need to have some extra laws or waiting periods, more background checks, what have you. And it's the same exact way with these immigration and this cave rescue. There were a lot of people that said, oh, well, kids in cages or whatever. Of course, that was an Obama thing, but that's a whole nother deal. But, excuse me, they were all kind of, whatever, oh, they're illegals, they need to get out of here anyway, they don't need to be here. And, I mean, I've said the same thing, they all need to go back wherever, but then they flip it over and they start showing this kind of heartfelt story of all these kids getting reunited with their parents, I mean, they're in the hospital now, but regardless, they've been reunited with their parents and all that. So it gets people to thinking, well, look at what these parents, how they actually felt through this whole ordeal. They actually showed the parents crying on the news and all of this. And then the big emotional reunions. And then people think, well, maybe we need to reevaluate this whole immigration thing. Maybe it was a lot worse than I initially thought. We can't just send these people back, or we can't just do this or that. We've got to reunite them and help them get back, to a better lifestyle, sort of the pseudo hospital, so to speak, where these kids are at. In the picture here, the Thailand kids, they're in the hospital getting treated and trying to get over, their ordeal. And they want to use our government and our country, the illegals do, as their sort of hospitals, how the media likes to play it. Well, they've got to stay here so that they can get better, grow, prosper, become, decent people. They'll never get that chance. Mexico and them other places are kind of like the cave. And they make it appear that, we're supposed to be the cave rescuers, so to speak. We're supposed to get these people from these third world poverty-stricken countries, bring them here, set them up with a good life, treat them right, all that. So they really play both sides of the aisle. And next time you catch any, mainstream media, whenever there's a major topic, that's not, so much government related, but just a human interest, I guess you would call it. I mean, government's always involved, but when it involves large groups of people, whether it's a police shooting, could be anything they want to talk about for several days, then you watch. Sooner or later, when they feel they've got enough people that either they go along with their agenda, either agree or disagree, depending on which way they want it, then within that week or so, they'll have an opposite story to if you were on the opposite side of the fence. Like, I've mentioned before, send the illegals back, They're separated, whatever. If they want to be reunited, do it across the border. I've said stuff like that many times. And that's the way a lot of other people felt. So when they feel they've got enough people that feel that way, then what do? They show the cave story. They harp on that 24/7. No more mentioning of kids in cages and getting deported. Forget all that. They put that on the back burner. They go to the kids in cages. That way you can see the reuniting and how everybody feels all great and joyful and parties and hugs and kisses all around, and all of that. And then that gets people to think. Like I said, that chips away more people every time that, well, now that I see how these people are reacting and have acted through their ordeal, well, these illegals are probably the same way, so we better rescue them. And, the cycle turns, and the more they do that, the more and more they chip away and get more people on their side. So just a totally different take on it. But like I say, next time you watch any media or hear of a story that's something like that, it's got a real human element to it, that would really divide, 100% have a division. You're either against it or for it, no in between. Then you wait a week or so, and if you're on the side that does not agree with the media narrative, they'll have another story out next week to flip the script to try to get you to understand their point of view. Don't fall for it. But just thought I'd kind of throw that out there as a whole different take on, why they show the stories that they show. And I'm going to put the guy's YouTube channel in the description. I'll put a link to his video. But it's Full Spectrum Survival. I just ran across it about a half hour ago. So check that video out. And I've never even had any dealings with that other channel, so there's no connection. My words are mine, his are his. I just thought it was a really interesting take on, why the media shows what stories they show and why they do it in the order they do it. And if we really pay attention, it might even happen on even a smaller basis of why do they put your local or whatever news you watch, why do they put the stories in the order that they do. So, something to pay attention to. Just wanted to throw that out there. So if you're not subscribed to the channel, I'd appreciate it if you do so. Like the video, hit the little bell icon so you can be notified when I do another video. And that's about all I got for now, so take it easy, and I will catch you guys on the next video.